Um, I think that you should read a book that she wrote called It's Always Something. And she tells a lot about herself in that. I talk about her in my first book, in the memoir, but she was unique. We met on a film that Sidney Poitier directed. It's called Hanky Panky. And we got married in 1984, and she died on May 20th, 1989, of ovarian cancer. But we did 3 films together. We did Hanky Panky and The Woman in Red and Haunted Honeymoon. But at the end of Haunted Honeymoon, she wasn't feeling well. And they didn't diagnose her till 10 months later. And then they discovered that it was ovarian cancer, stage 4. She was unique in this sense, that she was a child, not childlike, but childish. And she was adult. When she was talking about other people, she was very adult. If I had to compare her to something, I would say to a firefly in the summer at night. When you see a sudden flash of light, it's flying by and then it stops. And then light and stops. She was like that. She'd light up the world and any people that she was with, and then you'd see her crying about something else and sad, and then she'd light up again. That's partly the actor's life, the comic's life, but it's partly was the strange life that she had and her growing up and everything. She was a big success on Saturday Night Live. And then we got married, and then she got ill, and then she died. But people love her. They always love her. She was lovable.
Was it love at first sight for you?
No, not at all. No, if anything, the opposite. I said, how do I get rid of this girl? We were acting together. She was a sweetheart, fine, but then she clinging on me all the time, and I couldn't do anything without her being on me, next to me. And the day we said goodbye at the airport, she was going back to New York. We were in Burbank, California. I kissed her goodbye. She cried. She got on the plane. Finally, I can relax. I went home. I slept well. The next day, I had some business during the day. Then I went shopping to get some orange juice and milk and tea and whatever. I came back to the living room I had. This was in Los Angeles. I walked into my house. I got halfway across the living room floor, and I fell down to my knees, and I burst out crying. Crying and crying, weeping. I didn't see how I was going to live without her, without that firefly, without that nuisance, without that childish brat. And she had told me once, if you ever want to see me again, call my manager and tell him the ducks are in the water. He won't know what it means, but he'll tell me. So I called him and I said, tell Gilda, the ducks are in the water. He said, what does that mean? I said, I don't know, but tell her. He told her, and she called me shortly after. And then she came to live with me, and then we got married. Then we did 3 films, and then she died. Strange story.
Do you still miss her?
I wasn't in love with her the way I am with my wife now. That's a different kind of love. But I miss what she was, but sometimes she just drove me crazy. And other times she just made me laugh. She was a sweetheart. But when she was so ill for so long, for 2.5 years, she would scream and yell at me, not at anyone else, but at me. And I would say to her, why can't you treat me the way you do any stranger you meet? And she said, don't you understand? You're my husband. I can yell at you. I can take out all my anger on you. I can't to them, but you're my husband. And 3 weeks before she died, in the living room, she walked up to me and said, I have a title for you. Kiss me like a stranger. Maybe you can use it someday. I didn't know what she was talking about. I didn't know what it meant. I said, thank you. Thanks, honey. And then she died. And 14 years later, when I wrote the memoir, I had another title. It was called I Lean Towards Women, which is crazy. It's an absurd title. It sounds like a man who's got one leg shorter than the other, and I'm leaning towards a woman. And I said, no, I'll change it to Kiss Me Like a Stranger. It has more meaning to me. And that's what it's called. And that's because of her. What it meant when she told it, I didn't know what she meant by it. But I know what I meant by it.